What's up everyone? Welcome to the Good View Woodwork shop, and today we're going to be hopefully finishing up this slab table. Now, there are two things I want to talk about. One, the weather is awesome today. For some reason, it's been in the upper 90s all week, and I woke up this morning, came outside. It must have rained last night, and it's about 75 degrees. It is awesome. Two, I'm trying to get this table done today, so what I'll be doing is mounting the legs, fitting the crossbeam that connects the legs together. That way I can flip the table over and finish the top. Awesome packet. So the legs, I bought them on Etsy, and the supplier, I'll link him down in the description. He sent the legs already welded for adjustable feet, and he gave me all the hardware for mounting, which is awesome. That rarely happens. The only thing I had to do to change the legs was I welded on the brackets that hold the crossbeam there. So, pretty cool. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pre-mounting the legs, doing like just 2 of the screws in either one to hold them there. That way I can mount the crossbeam and drill a hole for the bolt that's going to hold them. If I were to mount the legs fully, I think screwing them in and unscrewing them when I go to load them in the trailer and take them to the customer's home, it might, wallow out the holes a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll just pre-mount here, and then when I go install the table in the person's home, I'll pre-drill the rest and screw them in there, so that way I'm not putting them in the hole and out of the hole and doing all that kind of rigmarole. Ooh, I rhymed. Oh, my dang battery died. See, what's really cool about these rigid batteries, first of all, if you register the tool online, lifetime replacement of batteries, which is pretty cool. But it's got a little button to tell you when the battery life is. So I'm gonna go charge this mother jammer. I'll be right back. Back in business. Alright, I'm going to show you what we did here. So, see, I only put 1 screw in here and 1 screw over here to temporarily hold it, and I'll pre-drill the rest of the holes there. Same thing on this side, 1 there, 1 in the back corner, and then I'll pre-drill all these before I flip it over. But we just drilled out this hole here, and we pre-drilled this hole here, and we'll be mounting some 3/8 bolts through there, kind of hold it and still keep the rustic industrial look. So be back after I install those. All right, the bolts are installed, and it's time to flip the table over so we can finish the top. So there's one bolt there, and there's another bolt there. Looking good. All right, guys, we got the table flipped over and put down on the floor. Just beware, my shop is a mess. I mean, legit pigsty. I mean, I know it's messy, okay? So why don't you ease up off my back about it? So, hey, don't judge me for that. I'm gonna get it cleaned up eventually. But check it out, the table looks pretty sweet. So I haven't put the final coat on, still dusty looking from sanding. It looks sweet with the legs and the cross beam. She's looking legit, too legit to quit. On the table here, there are some little spots where air bubbles were, real small stuff. So what I'll do is I'm going to, here's a big one right here, look at that. It's not very deep. It's maybe a 1/16 of an inch deep. I think what I did was I didn't notice the air bubbles, and I didn't come back a couple times after it started to set to pop them. So that was just my mistake. What I'm gonna do though is mix up a little bit of epoxy, and I'm just gonna fill them in, and then I'll sand the table down. So the table has been sanded down to 120 already, and then I'm gonna sand it down to 220. So after I fill those in and it dries, I'll sand the whole thing down to 220. Then after that, all I gotta do is put the satin poly on top, and she'll be done. So close to being done. I'm ready to get this thing out of here. Woo! All right, guys. So I was able to fill in all the little air bubbles with some extra epoxy that I mixed up, and you can see it here. You see how this was just like a low spot that I filled in, but you can see all the little air bubbles. This is just, you know, so it doesn't look so bad. So once this cures, I'll go ahead and sand it down with 220 one more time, just to make sure everything is smooth, and then I'll apply some satin poly. So the reason why I decided not to keep the glossy sheen is just because the customer didn't want it super glossy. They wanted it satin. I'll go ahead and sand it, and then I'll add a satin polyurethane on top to still have that protective finish, but make it satin. Really, it's just for looks, because the Stone Coat Countertops epoxy is really strong, really durable. All right, guys, so I just got done sanding the table down from where I put those I filled in the little air bubble spots with epoxy. Dried overnight. I just sanded down the table, and I just wiped it down with isopropyl alcohol to clean it off. So now I'm ready to put the satin poly on. But here's what it looks like right after I wipe it down. So you'll be able to see that it looks just hazy from being sanded. I sanded it to 320 grit. So now what I'll do is I'll put on a couple of coats of wipe-on poly. Here we go. Okay, so what I'm using here is Minwax wipe-on poly clear satin, because that's what the customer wanted, was a satin finish. They didn't want it super glossy. It says to apply a liberal amount and then wipe it on. Come on, guys, get a close-up. Look how pretty that looks. Looks so pretty. All right, so I'm gonna sit you down, and I'm gonna go ahead and wipe off the whole table. I just finished wiping it down, and it looks awesome. Check it out. Look at that table. It's beautiful. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put 3 coats of this on, sanding in between each coats, and not really sanding, but I'll probably scuff it up with either a Scotch-Brite pad or some steel wool. Just go over it real lightly to give it some mechanical adhesion, and then she'll be ready. Okay, so it says to put on 2 coats and apply liberally. I put on a pretty thick coat before, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a second coat on, and this will be the final coat. So instead of applying it in a circular motion, I'll still rub it in like that, but what I'm gonna try to do is do long, sweeping strokes, so that way you won't see any swirl marks after it dries. Also, don't be a dummy like me and try to skip a step. Use gloves, because this stuff is not good for you. Do yourself a favor and use gloves. Okay, here's what it looks like after the second coat. We're gonna go ahead and let this dry. And it'll be dry to the touch in about, I don't know, about an hour. And it takes about 3 hours to cure. And then 24 hours for light use, so we should be good. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. The table came out awesome. Stay tuned. Next week, I'll be delivering the table to the customer. So come along with us so you can see what it's like when we put it in their house. I know they're gonna be excited. If you would, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down in the description. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That way, you can come back and hang out with us next time. Until then, see you later.